Just Mr. Weathers just and worship arts was like everyone sit down and like come up with somewhat of a message, and I started this and I kind of took it and ran with it. So what I got is I just thought about talking about my life, and basically what I think of my life is it's like a race. Like sometimes you're like number one and you feel like you're on top of the world and you're winning everything, you're in a good time, and then sometimes you feel like really low, last place, you're trying to keep up with everyone, you're just fighting to keep up, and you just feel like you can't. So, like, my life started out, and I was born from teenage parents, and then my grandma adopted me, so that's who I call my mom, basically. And when I was 10 months old, my biological dad died, and like I didn't really know him. I was only 10 months old, so, and I don't think I've ever seen like a picture of him or anything, so I don't really know if I look like him or not. But if he does, he's one hot man. So
that is one thing that happens when you speak. You'll crack yourself up and you get all thrown off. Now you don't know what's happening. It's okay. Just take
Exactly.
Yeah, you're good. You just hop back in though when that happens.
So like
I didn't help at all either. I'm sorry.
Not at all. But like I don't think my family is like really that much of a Christian household. Like, I mean, we do stuff together, and we just don't do like, we don't like pray together. We don't like we don't play praise and worship music, and like I'm just thankful that I came here and that I got all that stuff out of the way. And then like the first thing that I'm gonna talk about in the race is like, it's like track. You have like hurdles. And some hurdles are bigger than others, some hurdles are small. And some personal hurdles is just, some of mine are just like hanging out with the bad people, like hanging out with the wrong crowd, just temptation, going too far in relationships, just getting peer pressure. And then like another big one is like not thinking you're good enough. And I actually have a really good example about this. It's like, okay, yeah, give me a second. So, okay, this is $20.
Yeah.
So like, raise your hand if you want this $20. Everyone should be raising their hands. If you're not, then you're lying. So like, if I took it and I crumpled it up, put it on the ground, stomped on it a little bit. Who would still want this $20? Oh, okay. So basically, the point behind that is, like, it doesn't matter like what you've been through. You're worth the same either way. So like, and I mean that works with anything. Just sports, life, relationships, just what I'm doing right now. I didn't think I was good enough to speak in front of you guys, but here I am. So like, basically the next thing I'm going to talk about is, okay, wait, back up. So, like, so I did the 3 omnis, and the one that I put with hurdles is omnipotent, which is almighty or infinite in power. And you just gotta believe in God. Like, he's always right. There's no doubting that. And he can get you through anything, and he has the strength and power to get you through anything that you could possibly imagine, no matter if the hurdle is 1,000 feet tall or 1 inch tall. It really doesn't matter. And like, I have a verse to go along with that. I'm not saying, and this is Philippians 4:11 through 13. I'm not saying this because I am in need, for I have learned to be content. Whatever the circumstances, I know it is to be in need, and I know what it is to have plenty. I have learned the secret of being content in any and every situation, whether well-fed or hungry, whether living in plenty or in want. I can do all this through him who gives me strength. So basically, that, like, I read that and I was like, I'm putting it in, because that explains this perfectly. Like, if you're well-fed or hungry, top, low, it doesn't matter. And the next one is, God has a plan for your life, and he knows everything that's going to happen, and there's no surprises. Hate to break it to you, but you could go out and just break your leg. I don't know. And then, God knew that was going to happen. So a verse to go along with that is Jeremiah 29:11. For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. And, like, when I looked at that, it really opened my eyes. Like, God doesn't want you to have the second best. He wants you to have the best that you could possibly can, and he wants you to be well off. He doesn't want you to, like, ruin your life. He wants you to be the best that you could possibly be. And then, like, the final one for the plan is you just have to surround yourself around good people that are going to support you. Like, family, always going to be there. Always going to be helpful most of the time. And then, like, authority, unless it's, like, a drill sergeant where he's like, I don't care. Do your job. And then, like, friends. Friends is a big one for me. Because, like, until about a year and a half ago, I didn't really have the best people to hang out with. And then, like, I would come here, then it'd be completely different out of school. It'd be completely different. And then the last omni is omnipresent. And this one is really big. And you just have to, it's really not, but you have to have faith that he's there. Like, well, yeah, but you have to have faith that he's there. You can't just be like, oh, yeah, he's there. Yeah, I guess. But you have to actually, like, really believe that he's there. Like, that's what I've struggled with is, like, yeah, he's there. I'm here, he's here. Wow. And then, like, until about, like, a year ago, until about the start of this year, I was like, okay, he's here, and he wants to be with me, and I just got to go after him. And you just have to remember that God is always with you through everything. Like, if you're laying at home, crying in your room, he's right there. He has his arms around you, and you just got to believe that. But if you're holding up a trophy for whatever you won, he's still there, and it's the same love. And then, like, God was able to get me through, so he can do the same for you. So, like, what I thought that I would never speak in chapel. Like, when I saw other students doing it, like, that's not for me. Just, I don't speak in front of people. I don't feel like I'm close enough to them. Like, just count me out. But then God started speaking to me, and it just completely did a 180 turn and started running the opposite way. And, like, my life has always feel like a dirt road, just no one else there for me, just no one supporting me, just running, don't know where I'm going, just don't know where the finish line is. But now, like, it feels like I'm on a NASCAR track where you always know where you're going. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
I'm going to ask you like two more things because I think it's fantastic. When Jake was talking to me about this, one of the biggest things he just kept saying is like, man, I just feel like, okay, if God could do this for me, I just want everybody to know that he can do it for him. I want him to know that like it's possible. Like I feel like God is so real to me. I feel like he's always with me. He knows what's going to happen to me. He's got a plan for me. Tell everybody. I just want you to tell everybody, and we'll wrap up with this. Like, what is it changed inside of you? How has it changed the way you act? How has it changed the way you go after things? What do you feel like God's done for you through all of a sudden seeing this whole time, through all the hurdles? Okay, he did have a plan. He does want good for me. Like where do you feel like you can go now? Like what do you feel like it's giving you strength to do?
Like I just feel like I've been like generally in a better mood, and like not like just sitting here, life, wow, yeah. And then like now I'm like I'm more like social. I'm louder. Sammy knows that one. And like I just feel in a better mood, and I'm really happier.
Y'all give Jake a hand. Come on. The band can go ahead and come up, and I'm going to wrap up. You weren't going to give away that $20? Okay, man. I was really... So everybody was hoping you
That's
were
for prom tickets.
Okay, prom tickets. Fantastic. Yeah! Who's going to prom, P.S.? Who hasn't asked their date to prom yet? Y'all better get on it. About to run out of time. I'm going to tell you one story, and then we're going to wrap up, and we're going to worship. I went to Clemson for a year. Go Tigers. And it's funny because when I tell people that, they're like, why did you leave? And looking back on it sometimes, I ask the same thing. I'm like, okay, why did I leave? I looked at this thing when I left high school. I was trying to figure out, like so many of you're especially juniors and seniors, can I hear you? You're like, what am I going to do? Everybody's asking you, what are you going to do next year? What are you going to do next year? What are you going to do with your life? And it's this crazy question because you don't know. You have no idea. I didn't know. I had no idea. Like sometimes I still wonder, like, hey, what am I going to do when I grow up? Even though I'm grown, like that won't go away. So don't worry. It's okay. But I remember getting to the point, and I remember finally saying, okay, you know what? I like math and science, and I think I want to do engineering. So I'm going to go to Clemson, and I'm going to try engineering. And I got up to Clemson and started in the engineering classes and started doing all that. And I just kept getting the sense from God that it wasn't right. And I just kept thinking, like, okay, why? I got in, I'm doing fine, it's not hard, I enjoy the stuff, it's not the grades. Why is this not right? And I just kept feeling the Lord say, just trust me. Just trust me, just follow my plan. And I kept saying, okay, well, what's the next step? Okay, because it's a lot easier to trust when you see the next step. But sometimes it's almost like, have you ever been out in the morning and it's like super foggy and you can barely see in front of you? Or if you're like doing fireworks and it gets real smoky, like you almost don't want to move because you can't see the next step. Or like if it's at night and you get up to like go to the bathroom or something, and then when you turn the lights back off and go to your bed, you can't see anything, and you're scared to death you're going to snap your toe off when you kick through your dresser. Y'all know what I'm talking about. It's the worst pain in the whole world. It's like you're scared to take the next step and you're feeling out in front of you because you can't see it. But so many times the way God operates is he says, look, if you'll just trust me, just to take the next step, you don't have to know the second step and the third step and the fourth step. I'll do that. But if you'll just trust me, I'll give you this step. If you just trust me and take this step, I promise you're not going to fall. I promise you're not going to stub your pinky toe on the dresser. I promise it's not going to hurt. I promise I've got a plan for you. I promise I've got something in mind. I promise. And the more Jake and I talked about this whole thing this week, he just kept resounding that and saying, like, I never knew that through all this, God was still going to work out a plan for me. I never knew that through all the hurt, through all the stuff with his parents, through his whole story, I never knew that God really did have a plan, but God does. And in this journey through middle school, through high school, there's all these decisions you're supposed to make, all this stuff you're supposed to do, and it gets scary. It gets kind of scary to think, okay, what is my next step? I have no idea what I'm going to do. I don't know. You don't have to have all the answers. Just take one step at a time and follow God to the best of your ability. And be you. I say it all the time. I love the phrase of just say, look, you do you and let everybody else do them. Because nobody else can do you. Nobody else can be you. And God created you. God has a plan for you. And it's so funny because if you run track, if you go on the same thing with a race, you can run a fantastic race and you can win the whole race, but if you win the race in somebody else's lane, you're disqualified. If you don't run your own race, you can be the best that there was in that race, but if it's not your lane, you don't get anything. God made you specifically. Some of y'all are weird, okay? Don't point to your neighbor like that. I'm weird too. Hey, Chance, yeah. Here's the thing. We're all kind of strange, okay? Everybody's quirky. Everybody's got their own things. Everybody's got like a way. Have you ever tried to brush your teeth a different way? Like change the order you do stuff, or like the way you button your shirt, or have you ever tried to put your belt on the other way around? You can't. It will weird you straight out. You do things a certain way because that's just the way you are. You don't know why you do them that way. You don't know why you like to eat things that way. You don't know why you like the weird food combinations you like. Who knows? But that's you. And God's got a plan for you. And here's the thing. So many times we're asking the questions, what am I going to do? How am I going to get there? What am I going to do? And if you would just focus more on just being you, on just being okay with who you are, you wouldn't have to worry about what am I going to do? Because God's put all that inside of you. God's put every single thing inside of you. From the time you were born, it's the craziest thing to look at a little baby and think everything that they need is inside of them. Every bit of planning that they have, every skill they're going to have, every idea that they're going to have, everything is already in them. It's just got to come out. It's the same thing with you. If you'll just focus more of that energy on just being you and allowing the real you to come out and just being okay with you and being confident with you and finding out who you are, you won't have to worry near as much about what to do and where to go and what steps to take because it's in you. That's inside of you. So if you just do you, everything else will work out just fine. Let me pray for you guys and then we're going to worship. Father God, I just pray that that the reality of the fact that you have a plan for us sets in. That the reality of the fact that you've designed our steps, that you've designed us, that you know who we are. That you have a purpose for us, that you have a great, great plan for us, that every single bit of that sets in. I pray, Father God, that you just, you answer some questions. There's some of us in here who, even with all this, still think, that all sounds good, but I don't know who I am. I don't know what I want to do. I don't know where I want to go. I don't know those things, Lord. I just pray that you just give that next step and that you give a peace that's okay with just the next step. That doesn't have to have 5 steps, 6 steps. It's just okay to say, you know what, God, I'm going to trust you with this one. I'm going to follow you with this one, and that's going to be okay. We thank you for that, Lord, and we worship you today. We thank you for a place that you come, you speak, and that you're alive and real and well in this place. And we worship you. In Jesus'